Welcome everybody. The title of my video today is going to be Everyone Was Her Favorite. And this is really about the quiet way to live that changes lives. Now, I'm hoping that you can take things away from this. This is meant to be for all the people I typically talk to, the parents, the entrepreneurs, the leaders or aspiring leaders within organizations who are wanting to make a greater impact, who are wanting to change lives, in whatever way that they can. Now, this one's going to be deeply personal for me. It's grounded in a very personal topic, but I'm hoping that you can take things away from that as well if you'll stick around with me. Now, the idea behind this, Everyone Was Her Favorite, and the way that to live that changes lives is grounded from, the fact that my grandmother passed away early this morning. And I'm recording this because it is the best way that I know to honor her. It's the best way I could honor what she was. It is to share what her life taught me about impact and about showing up and about using what you've been given in a way that actually changes people. Now, I'm not going to promise perfection here. If my voice cracks or if I need to pause, that's why, but she lived a long life, she, whatever 90-ish years, I know she has shown me something that I think you need to hear, something that she's exampled and modeled for so many people throughout her life. I think my sister said it best recently as I was talking with her. She said this and it captured perfectly who Grandma was. She said, I was Grandma's favorite. She was saying that about herself. And she said, but so were you. Everyone is her favorite. If you were her grandchild, you were her favorite grandchild. Didn't matter which one you were. If you're great-grandchild, you were her favorite great-grandchild. Favorite child, favorite friend, favorite person to go to church with, favorite person to talk on the phone with, favorite person to play cards or tiles with, whatever that may be. You were her favorite. And in that one sentence is the most meaningful lesson about life and about love and impact that I've ever learned, because it's so true. If you were any of those things, if you're her child, you were her favorite grandchild, you were I love these concepts, not because she was trying, not because she was performing in any sort of way. It's just who she was. Spending her life raising, her big family, got all these kids, 6 kids, she's got more grandkids and great-grandkids than I can count. She'd been a teacher. She's a lifelong person dedicated to faith and to learning and growing, But what strikes me the most is that in my 40 years that I watched her live, she never built any sort of a platform. She never wrote a book. She never had a following or a brand or anything that the world would relate to as being impressive. And yet, as she got to these final days, I tried to do a video call and kind of be able to say some final words with her. But there's been a nonstop people just coming through the door. People just kept showing up throughout the day. They said, yeah, this has been happening for the last couple of days. People just keep showing up. They want to see Grandma. They want to see Bobby. After 90 plus years, people still knew how she had shown up for them. They still wanted to be with her. They still needed what she could only give to them. And I think that taught me something about real impact that hopefully we can share today. Because if you've ever wondered, even quietly, whether or not your gifts matter, or your presence is enough, or whether you need to be louder or bigger or more visible to make any sort of a difference, or that some drastic change needs to happen in your life for you to make an impact and difference in people's lives. Well, I think my grandma just gave over 90-ish years of proof that you don't have to. Welcome to the Giver Method channel. My name is Jake. So glad that you are able to join me. If you're new here, if you're back for another video, welcome back. My name is Jake Talbert. We call it the Giver Method channel because it's grounded in principles from my book, The Giver Method. I'm not going to talk a lot about that today, though. Today, I just want to share a few of those principles that my grandmother lived by every single day. Not as ideas or strategies, but just a way of being that anyone watching, anyone could be this sort of a person too. And once again, this isn't designed to be a eulogy or to tell her whole life story. It's about passing forward something she embodied so naturally that most people never even realized it was what they're longing for so long, what you've been waiting for. And so if you're watching this and you feel quietly exhausted, if you're doing everything you're supposed to do, but still wonder if it makes a difference, if you're still carrying a lot and starting to feel invisible in the process, this video is going to be for you too. There's lessons that you can take from this. All right, so let's talk about that, like what a life well-lived actually looks like. One of the things we talked about with the Giver Method is, we want people to unlock their gifts and superpowers so they can create impact, deeper connections, live a more fulfilled life, and so that you can change other people's lives through generosity. And if that's the concepts that I have in the book, then darn it, she taught me that stuff long before I ever wrote the book, long before it ever became acronyms and letters and principles and worksheets. Let's talk about what that life well lived actually would look like. And so there's 4 principal areas that I want to focus on that I think she embodied, that she taught me, that I think there are lessons that any one of us can take. And if we did, this world would be a better place. And so the first one is that concept of making everyone feel like you're your favorite. I said my sister embodied that so well when she said that, and it clicked for me, like everyone was her favorite. And that was the point. So let's talk about how you create impact through just radical acceptance. And so this is so simple, but it's powerful things. It's one of the most powerful things my grandma ever did. Everyone felt like they were her favorite, not in a loud way or performance, definitely not in a fake way. It was something that she just tried, she wasn't trying to do, right? It's just how she showed up. When you were with her, you could feel it. You weren't competing for attention. You weren't interrupting her life. You weren't just one more thing. You were the thing, And if you were talking to her, you had her, all of her, your story mattered, your worries mattered, your joy, and that did something for people. She didn't rush you. She didn't half listen while thinking about what was next. She didn't make you feel silly for feeling what you felt. She accepted people exactly for what they were. And she accepted all of us with our flaws and our messes and our awkwardness and our opinions that she didn't share. She just accepted us. She loved people that was the default setting. And gosh, she never, ever spoke poorly about anyone. I'm sure she noticed things. I'm sure she had thoughts, but she chose grace every single time. Now, I don't know if she had some sort of mantra or morning ritual or that helped her ground in this. I doubt she did. What I do know is that she lived with the kind of Christ-like love that doesn't announce itself. It just makes people feel safe. So if you've ever wondered what makes someone unforgettable, that's it. People don't just enjoy being around her or people like that. People are relaxed when they're around her and people like that. They feel seen, they feel known, they feel like they matter without having to prove anything. So let's talk about what that looks like for you. Real life, especially when you could be tired, exhausted in all these places, the type of people that we typically talk to. I'm talking to you directly for a second because I know who watches this. I've talked to so many of you. You're not lazy, you're not uncaring, you're exhausted. And you walk in your door with nothing left. Your brain is completely full. Your body is just done. And the idea of being fully present feels impossible. But let me say this clearly. You don't need to be available all of the time. You don't need hours and hours of uninterrupted connection. And you don't need to force energy that you don't have. But what you can do is choose one small window where you can be fully there. Every 90 seconds counts. Here's ways my grandma did it, and how you can too. When someone's talking to you, put the phone away. Not face down, not in your pocket, away, turn it off, get rid of it. Look at them, intensely. Just actually be there. Let them finish, their thought before you jump in. Don't try to rehearse the response. Don't try to fix anything. Just receive them and what they're saying. And then, say one thing that proves you were there. Just say back to them. And that sounds like it felt heavy, or that makes sense. I can see why that mattered to you. Once again, this is not therapy language. It's not a script. It's just you being honest, an honest response to what someone just told you. Because the truth most people don't realize is people aren't asking for your time. They're just they want your attention, and attention, even in small doses, changes people. I said, if my grandma could make you feel like her favorite in a 2-minute hallway conversation, and those 2 minutes would stay with you for years. Now, here's how this changes everything. Something that I didn't fully understand until much later. Presence being there doesn't drain you when it comes from who you are. It actually is going to restore you. When you're giving from obligation, performance mode, it depletes you. If you're giving from an alignment to who you are, it feeds you. That's why conversations with her don't feel heavy. They feel grounded. Making someone feel like your favorite isn't a performance. It's like you permission for them to be that. For them to be fully themselves. Permission for you to stop pretending. And when you actually live that way, even imperfectly, you create a ripple that lasts far longer than a moment. Not just kindness, like you're creating true legacy that will be felt for so long. The second principle that of so many that I extract from her life was that you can use your ordinary, like the gifts you have, the things that are just come natural to you, and you don't need recognition. Because here's the thing, like she gave what she had. She never asked to be noticed. So how, you can create value by just simply being who you are. You don't need to be on this grand stage or anything different. You don't need all the popularity, all the things, no. You give from what you have and just show up in that sort of a way. She lived this way. Like my grandma lived this way without even calling it a principle. She used her gifts freely, the things she had. She never needed anyone to notice that. She was a teacher and nurturer and once again, there's profession-based teaching, but then there's by just your natural nature of who you are. You could sit with her for 5 minutes or walk away clearer than when you arrived. I would call her with questions because I wanted to tap into that wisdom that she had. Not because she told you what to do. Here's the thing, she had a way of just offering that wisdom, and it didn't feel heavy or corrective or judgmental or anything. It was no, just wisdom, guidance. Someone handing you a flashlight instead of a lecture. Let's find our way out of the dark. I went to her constantly. I would call and ask questions about life and about faith, decisions that I didn't know how to name. I probably could have gone to her so much more in life, and I didn't get that chance. But the times I did, it made such an impact for me. Here's what still gets me. There was nothing that she was doing to try and be impressive. She wasn't trying to leave the legacy. She wasn't trying to be remembered. She was just being who she was. When I talk about people being authentic and being yourselves, this is what it was. Just being yourself. Using your gifts to be kind, to steady people, to show up for people, whoever was right in front of her in that moment. And honestly, and this is really important, she didn't treat her gifts like something separate from everyday life. She didn't say, now I'm going to step into being a person who's going to offer wisdom. Now I'm going to step into being a teacher. Now I'm going to no, she just lived with what she wanted. She just lived that person. Now, I always say this about my grandma. She was an absolute card shark. And I'm serious. I don't want to derail this, but this loving woman, caring woman with the biggest heart in the world, who shows so much love to every person, would sit down at a card table, and she just had ways of just wiping the floor with people. She would hold on to cards until she knew you were excited to play, and you'd play your card, and she'd just, boom, she'd put it on top of you. There was no trash talk. It wasn't crazy showboating. But here's the thing. She was fully present. She was fully engaged. She was fully herself. She loved the game within the game of playing with people, not playing just the game, but playing with people, being there with them. She just loved the people around the table. That's what mattered. The cards were just the excuse, were excuse to sit down at this table at this time. But her gifts showed up everywhere. Competition, in that sort of a way. She was one of those competitive people. She loved being competitive and still loving. In play, whatever it be. Now here's this is why this matters to you, because I know something about people who watch this. A lot of you feel invisible. You feel like you give and you show up, but you're carrying weight and no one's seeming to notice. It's not making the impact you want. It's not taking off as fast as you want, because you don't get applause. You don't get recognition, or you're not getting thanked nearly as often as you think you should. And slowly, without realizing it, you start to wonder, what if what you bring even matters anymore? And here's what I want you to know. Here's what my grandma would show if she was sitting across from you right now. The most powerful gifts are probably the ones that you've been dismissing. Not flashy things, not the resume ones, not the ones that people come and are applauding and recognize you for. It's the quiet ones. You've got these gifts of like things like steadiness or your warmth, your ability to listen without fixing, a sense of humor, your patience, or your wisdom that doesn't need to be loud. Like, we ignore these because like they don't come with trophies. They feel too easy, too natural. But that's exactly like how you know that they're gifts. Like the question that almost never fails is like, what do people thank you for? You know, like sometimes when you're getting those thanks, you're not taking seriously. Usually that's pointing towards some sort of a gift that you have. Or like, here's another question you could ask. Like, what do you do naturally that you assume anyone could do? Once again, that's usually it too. You know, you just have to find whatever yours was. Grandma loved playing cards, you know, but it wasn't about the cards. It was about the presence. It was the expression of being there with the people around her. It wasn't playing cards to win. Yeah, winning's fun. She played because she loved with the people she was with. The game was just that container. And this is the part like I really want you to hear. You don't need to go find some hidden talent buried like deep inside you. You don't need to go find some new talent or skill that you need to learn and develop. No, your gifts, they're already operating inside of you in a way that that make people feel comfortable. It could be like in how you bring order to chaos. It could be in how you ask questions and make people pause. In how you lighten the room when things feel heavy. The work isn't discovering something new. It's recognizing what you're already doing and choosing to do it on purpose. You know, recognition, like why when it stops, like because you feel more aligned. And it's something that, like I said, she proved over and over again. When you give from who you are, and I tell this to people all the time, if you give from who you are, not from obligation, recognition will become irrelevant to you. She didn't teach people to be thanked. She taught because like that's how her soul moved. She didn't love people, you know, hoping to be noticed. She loved because that's who she was. And honestly, like paradoxically, like that's why people never forget her. And so if you're someone who feels unseen, you know, if you're tired of giving and wondering if it even counts, then this reframe hopefully changes things for you. When you give from alignment, the giving itself fills you. You don't walk away feeling depleted. You actually feel more yourself because you're not performing anymore. You're not in that performance mode. You're not trying to prove anything. You're not trying to earn worth. You're just expressing who you are. This video is probably the most recognition I've ever given my grandma in all the amazing things she's done. And she hasn't received crazy recognition. She didn't need it. I think that's exactly why her impact is so deep, is because it was never about her. It was about the people that she loved, the people she considered to be her favorite. Now, the third principle that I want to take that I've learned from her is building what I often refer to as relationship riches through consistent presence. Because here's the thing, consistency is going to be big moments every single time. And she showed up again and again and again. So how do you create these bonds that last until your final days? I said, it's something that just she lived by. And honestly, the thing most people underestimate was consistency. Like, she didn't build deep relationships through these grand gestures. Like, there weren't like dramatic speeches. Like, there weren't big cinematic moments that were there. Like, it was like over time, she just showed up. She was there for you. She remembered, she followed through. She made small deposits into people's lives year after year, decade after decade, without keeping score. And that's why her final days, that there's been this nonstop people coming through the door, well-wishers, people coming to say goodbye, people coming to be with her one more time. Not because of one big moment, but because like the deposits she had been making in that account were full. She had spent all these years making these deposits into other people. And the part that I really want you to hear, trust isn't built through that intensity. It's built through the repetition. The people with the deepest relationships aren't the ones who have have done the most dramatic things for people. It's the ones who are the predictable in the best possible way. They show up for you when you say you will. They remember what matters to you. They don't punish honesty. They don't gossip. They create safety, like simply by being steady. That's who my grandma was. People knew exactly what they were getting with her. And what they were getting was kindness and attention and acceptance every single time. And so if you feel like you've fallen behind, like just listen closely. Because I know as you watch this, like some of you are carrying this quiet fear that you've messed things up somewhere along the way. I've felt that so many times. You know, you feel like for a long time you've been too tired for too long. You've been too distracted. Maybe you've been too busy surviving. You worry that you've missed too much and that the distance is too great to repair in a lot of cases. Now, here's something that I want you to take from everything I'm talking about today. And my grandma's life proves beyond a shadow of a doubt, relationship accounts aren't destroyed by past withdrawals. They're rebuilt through consistent future deposits. You haven't lost your kids because you've been a tired parent for the last few years. You haven't ruined your marriage because there's some hard tension. You haven't missed your chance with the people that you care about. You just need to start making deposits again. One small one real one, ones that actually will sustain over time. Now, what that looks like in real life, not some social media, Instagram sharing life, like no real life. Like this week, if just this week you choose 3 people, a family member, a friend, a colleague, and make one small deposit into that relationship, not a grand gesture, a text that says, hey, I was thinking of you today. You know, a 30-second voice memo, a handwritten note, a quick check-in question that shows you remembered something that they shared. That's it. These moments, they're not going to feel impressive. They're going to feel really ordinary. Ordinary deposits compound over time. You know, one real conversation at a time, one moment of presence at a time, one small act at a time. That's how my grandma lived. That's how, well into the 90s, of her life, like she filled rooms with people who loved her and just wanted to be near her and connected to her. And this changes for you, but this matters so much because what people get wrong about relationships is they wait for big moments. They wait until they have time and more energy or until things feel easier. That's not what you do. Take example from my grandma. She didn't wait. She made deposits in everyday, ordinary moments. Ordinary conversations, the ordinary days of just showing up. Those ordinary deposits create extraordinary relationships. The people who showed up at the end weren't there because of one powerful memory, but because of thousands of small ones that she had made in their lives. Each one quietly saying that I see you and I remember you, how much you matter, and that you are safe here. That's what, when I talk about relationship riches, actually looks like. It's not intensity, it's consistency. And then the fourth principle that I'm hoping that extracting of all the ones I could probably take from her life, there's probably hundreds of them. The fourth one is you become the safe person in a world full of performers. She was the place you could breathe. And here's why that matters so much more than being impressive or anything else. Honestly, one of the rarest things in the world today is this. She was safe. And I don't mean nice, I mean safe. She never spoke ill of anyone. And I mean literally anyone. Every person says, she didn't gossip, she didn't judge, she didn't quietly size you up while smiling. You never felt like you had to perform in front of her. You never felt like you had to clean yourself up first. Yep. You never felt like you had to have it all right, the right words or the right answers or the right version of yourself. You could just be. Just be you. And because of that, people exhale when they were around her. And not like a polite exhale, like a deep one. You know, the kind that says, I don't have to pretend anymore. I don't have to perform anymore. I don't have to explain myself. I'm allowed to be human. She created safety, not by being perfect, but in that consistency of consistently being kind and accepting and generous in how she saw people. And this matters so much more, you think, because I'm going to say this as gently as I can, because I know the type of people who continue. Most people are exhausted from performing. You've been performing competence, strength, happiness, the I've got it all together, I'm fine. But you actually are starving for advice. You're starving for one place where you don't have to hold it all together anymore. That's what my grandma created. That she was that place. People told her things they wouldn't say out loud anywhere else. Not because she had the answers, but because she didn't punish them. She didn't make people earn acceptance. She just gave it freely. She didn't require you to have everything figured out. She just loved you while you didn't have it figured out. And that made her safe and comfortable. And so if you look at what that looks like in real life, yes, like it's like you could practice this sort of a thing. In the next 48 hours, like just notice your words, especially when the person you're talking to isn't in the room. Like if we're like, hey, no gossip, no subtle digs, no venting, no negative commentary. And when the urge hits, and it will, replace it with one of the following 2 sentences. Hey, I don't know the full story, or there's probably more going on there. That's not denial, that's generosity. That's that grace. You're not pretending everything's fine. You're just refusing to harden your heart. And if you want to take it deeper, notice how often that urge comes up, and not to shame yourself, but just with curiosity. Most people don't realize how automatic this habit has become. And it leaks energy and creates emotional weight. So after 48 hours, just ask yourself, like, hey, if I stopped doing those things, like, do I feel lighter? Because here's the thing, gossip weighs us down. Generosity, like, it quietly sets you free. My grandma understood that without even saying that was the thing she lived by. She chose words carefully, not to protect others, but to protect, like, her own peace as well. And there's this quiet power of being safe. Here's what happens when you become the safe person. You stop performing everything, trying to be everything around you. You stop rehearsing things. You stop pretending. You bring your real self to everything. You use all the parts of you, the messy parts and the parts that you're still figuring out, and that's okay. Those conversations, they're more honest and more vulnerable, and it's where real connection lives. That's where trust grows. That's where healing starts. That, like, without ever even trying to fix anything. So my grandma didn't try to change people by correcting them. She just changed them by accepting them. And that starts, like, that kind of safety, it stays with you over time. Long after any sort of conversation ends, or a room has emptied, or the moment passes. And the best part is, anyone watching this can choose to become that person. You don't have to choose it someday. Like, not when life slows down. Today. One conversation, one choice of words, one act of kindness at a time. That's how she lived. That's how a legacy that any one of us can put forward. And so I want to wrap this up, and I want to leave this with you. My grandma didn't write a book about impact. She didn't have some sort of framework or morning routine, she talked about, or message that she was trying to spread. She just showed up every day as herself. She used gifts she had, things like teaching, wisdom, patience, warmth, love, and yes, her card shark skills, like whatever, like just to make people feel seen. She made people feel safe. She made people feel valued. She made people feel like they mattered. Everyone was her favorite. If you had met her, you would be her favorite too. Like, she built relationships that didn't fade with time. They deepened. They lasted all the way till her final days. She did all of it quietly, consistently, without ever needing any sort of recognition. That's what a life well lived looks like. Not loud, not impressive by the world's standards, just being present, accepting, and full of love. That's what it comes down to. If you're watching this and you've been wondering, like, even quietly, like, if your life really matters, what if what I'm doing makes a difference or anything like that? Look at her as proof. Like, it does. Not because, like, she went and accomplished crazy things, but just because she continued to show up. You don't need a platform or a title. You don't need to build some big, or be impressive thing, right? You just need to show up fully present for the people right in front of you. You need to use your gifts that you already have, even the ones that feel ordinary, even the ones that make you, like, you choose to make small. Like, every one of those is real deposits into relationships day after day. That's the work. That's what my grandma lived by. That's what, when I talk to people about trying to get to the core of what my book and all the things I teach in my program, like the Giver Method, is all about. And that's what I want to carry, like, you to carry forward with you, because it's what I'm trying to carry with me for the rest of my life. Now, some of you, honestly, I hope that you take these things, you put them into place, you get them moving forward, then great. Do that. Go live in that sort of a way. Like, that's all I could ever say. That's all I could ever ask. I'm not going to do any plugs for the book or my programs or whatever. I'll put links down below for anybody who comes to my videos. I always like to refer you to free resources or ways that we help people. You're welcome to check those out, but that's not the point of the video today. Like, this isn't about just content. It's not about motivation. It's not about any sort of things like that. Like, that's not what I'm going for. You know, what I want you to leave with is simple. You know, understanding how you can show up in that sort of a way, how you can make these small deposits, how you can make the impact you want to make quietly in the life that you're living. Before you go, like, I want to leave a couple things with you. You know, if you could, in the comments, finish the sentence like, the person who made me feel like their favorite was blank. And think about who that was. Like, what they did, what they made you feel, and then gently ask yourself, like, who could I be that person for? My grandma showed that life, like me, that a life can change the lives of everyone around them without any noise and without performance and without proving anything. Just with presence, with kindness, and by choosing love. Everyone was her favorite. And now you get to carry that forward. You get to go make someone your favorite today. And the next person. And the next person. Hopefully there are principles you can take from this. Hopefully there are things that you can ground your life in, because trust me, when you put these into place, you will live a life making an impact in ways that you never thought were possible. Take some time today. Gather your thoughts. Go be present for people. Make people feel seen and safe. Hug your family members a little bit tighter tonight. Look back on the lessons you've learned from others and keep moving forward. I promise you, you are the only person who has your combination of gifts and superpowers and experiences, meaning you are the only person that can make an impact in certain people's lives. And those people are waiting for you to wake up and realize it. My grandma just lived that way. That's who she was. The loving person, caring person who wanted to just be her. And she was. And she impacted thousands and thousands of people who are always going to be in her debt for that. Thank you so much for spending the time with me today. Thank you so much for listening and taking this all in. Hopefully you'll catch us in one of our upcoming videos, and you feel free to check out thegivermethod.com or other things as well. Have a great rest of your day.